Today is my mother's funeral, and I will not be attending. For those that know me, know that I have three moms. I have my mom who put me up for adoption, my mom who adopted me, and my stepmom. So this is my birth mom. Today is her funeral, and I am not going. So, man, there's so many places where I could start, but let's start at the obvious where the train went off the track and it never came back on. Okay? So, 2013, June of 2013, I lose my dad who adopted me. I'm traveling for work. I get a call that he had a surgery he didn't recover from, and I flew out to my dad. I went to the hospital, and I literally stayed in the hospital with him for 3.5 weeks. I stayed up there. I washed my ass up there. I slept next to him. I never left his side. I was there when his soul left his body. I was there. And so it was really one of the hardest times of my life, is losing my dad. Because I felt like if anybody really loved me in this world, it was my dad who adopted me. So my birth mom had been planning a birthday party for me and my brother, because she would always say, if I had you and your birthday, you and your brother's birthdays are so close. We're like a year and a couple days apart. Your birthdays are so close, you guys would have had birthday parties together. So this birthday party was basically for her, And so my dad passed away June. My birthday's July. Literally, the funeral, like, I'm traveling because my dad lived in North Carolina. I'm traveling back and forth to Florida to, with the funeral and everything, the passing, it just was a lot. My intuition said, don't take your ass to California, cancel the trip. But I knew my mom would be upset, and she had been planning this. She even had one of her friends using one of her friends' houses for the pool party. And so I went to California. We had the birthday party, and I noticed that one of my cousins wasn't there. So, and I'm asking, like, where is she? What happened? And me and her were really close because she's adopted too. In fact, she found out and moved out there when she found them. And my mom was like, oh, you need to move out here and be around us. And, she moved out here, so can you. But at the time, my kids, I'm a single mom. My kids are young. I don't have money to move from one side of the United States to the other. So I finally reach out to my cousin on Facebook. We meet up, and she's telling me all the shit that went down. Now, mind you, I've been in a cloud. I just lost my dad. I have not been on Facebook. All this stuff was all over Facebook. I guess my cousin was living with her. She had back problems. Some of her stuff came up missing. It just was a big, huge fight, and it was all over Facebook. So I'm hanging out with her, and one of my mom's friends gets shot. Okay, and they're in the hospital, and my mom is like, I need you to come with me. We're gonna go up to the hospital. And I'm like, I just lost my dad. I just spent weeks in the hospital with my dad. Like, Even going to a hospital today reminds me so much of my dad. I don't even like going to the hospital, okay? And then she also wanted me to travel 7, 8 hours to a desert. I travel for work. I just want to just sit still and just hang out with family and do nothing. Well, she's calling my nieces. She's telling my nieces, making up lies, saying that she's going to unalive herself and she's going to take a handful of whatever. I got my nieces driving over, getting in my face, screaming and yelling at me, all this, and I just lost my fucking dad. So I ended up changing my ticket and just going back home early. A few years go by, I come back out there, and then my brother's like, oh, we need to squash this beef. I don't have any fucking beef with anybody. I don't carry around beef with nobody, okay? Life's too short. But she still got the beef with me. So we go out to breakfast, and it's still an issue. You know, she acts like everything's fine, but undertone, she's saying smart shit. Well, anyway, her ex-husband, I get invited over to his house, which my nieces, my brothers, my sister, everybody's over there, and she is pissed that I'm over there. I take her out to breakfast that next morning, and she's telling everybody in the restaurant what I did. I went over to her ex-husband's place, and she even pulls out pictures of shit he did to her house. I don't know what happened between them, but whatever. It's none of my business. I had a good time over there, and like I said, my brothers, my sister, everybody was over there except her. But I'm the one to get beat down over. You know what I'm saying? So after that, I ended up starting a business. My business took off, and it really took off in California. So I was like, you know, it was always sitting in the back of my mind to go out there and get close to family, to really get to know. Well, as soon as I land, I text my mom and I say, hey, I'm here. You know, I go to, I had been sending boxes to my sister's house, so my brother's helping me move. One of my other nieces comes and gets in my face. Rah, 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 rah. What's going on between you and my grandma? And she said that you never hit her up. I show her the text message. Again, I have to prove myself that I did text my mom. So she was the first person I reached out to, and she never even wrote me back. But she's on the phone calling everybody, getting everybody up in an uproar about me, just making up lies. And so that was my cue right then and there to turn around and take my ass back home. But no, I ended up moving. I lived in that house. I don't know, I was like an hour away. Guess how many times my mom came to visit me after all the time she begged me to come out to move out there? Zero. Then I moved a little bit closer. I had a party for my grandson, invited her, and that's the last time I saw her. She left the party early, and then she called me later on. I was going to one of my niece's events, and she called me. She's like, do you have a problem with me? And I'm like, here we go again. Kickers, for the icing on top, my aunt reaches out to me on my Facebook model page and says, your mother died, and to check her story. So on her story, she says, you know, in loving memory of my sister, and she puts my brother, my two brothers, and my sister, but doesn't mention me twice. So, hey, I just choose not to be around people like that. And hey, I love them, but I choose not to be around it.